Hey guys, welcome to the Solution Architect channel. And in this video, I will show you how we're going to create unit tests using Xunit, and then also calling our web API inside a unit test and passing values to that web API. We also need to instantiate a HTTP client. We're going to use TestHost for that, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to be able to create your test for that. And then we'll go onto the Azure DevOps portal and add it onto a build pipeline, and then do some negative testing. In a separate video, I will discuss the different types of tests that you can do. In this video is only to show you how to add it to into the pipeline, but we need to also do security tests, code vulnerability checks. We need to do code quality checks, all of those testing, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. So we're in Visual Studio Code right now. What you're going to do is just go to Terminal, New, and where you want to put your projects in. Type in .NET, New, and we're going to create a solution. So SLN, Output, DevOps, Project, Web API. Click Enter, and that will create a solution file for you. The next step is to let's go into that folder first, DevOps Project Web API folder, and then we create a Web API. I'm going to create a new one. I'm not going to use the one in my previous videos. Create a new one because we want to link the test. So Web API, output, DevOps Web API, and that will create a new Web API for us. And now we need to add a reference for this project to the solution file. Now to do that is .NET SLN add, and this project, your DevOps Web API project, just add a reference slash and the project name, which is .cs project cs proj, and that's your project file that's getting added to the solution file. Okay, the next what we want to do is create the test project. So we're going to create, say, .NET new. We use Xunit. This is almost the same as NUnit, but this is something come part of .NET. Xunit output is DevOps Web API .test. Okay, and again, what we want to do now is add a reference to the solution file for this project as well. So SLN add, the project name is test, DevOps Web API.test, and the same there, .cs proj. And now we also want to reference the project within the test project. So we're going to add a reference to that and say .NET add the test project, and reference the project name. Okay, and now we want to open the project, so open folder and go to your project and select the folder. and you've got your solution file, and we've got the test project and the web API project. So go to controllers. Let's go to controllers, our values controller. We want to change something. We don't want to just return the values. We also want to, I'm going to change this method inside here. I'm going to add copy and paste. And if we send an ID, say one ID, and the value, that value ID is 1, that we pass through that method's call, and then it will return just the word 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if it's no value, no value ID returned. Okay, so go to the project file, DevOps Web API, the project file, and we need to copy and paste this. So copy that package reference into your test reference. The reason for that is we need to have these packages also because we're going to call a controller for the ASP.NET, and also add a new package reference, include Microsoft.AspNetCore.TestHost. We're going to use a test host, just version also 2.2.0. And see, once you do that inside your project file, .NET will pick up that there is a new package or new packages, and then you click on restore on the right there, and that will restore all the packages for your test project. And you need this to be able to reference test hosting, because we're going to test an API, so we can integrate the testing our API controller, and this is how you do it. So the next part of, let's go to unit test1.cs, and we'll add a reference to our API project. So DevOps WebAPI .controllers, and then we want to reference using Microsoft.AspNetCore.TestHost. And the last reference we want to add here is using Microsoft AspNetCore.Hosting. Okay, so I would like to change the unit test name so we can have a name that works better for us. Unit test web API. Okay, and if you change that, you also need to change your class. I'm going to change that to web API. And then we need to add a reference. Call it private, read-only reference to HTTP client. And underscore client. And you'll see that that bulb that comes up, the light bulb. Just click on that and add the using for system.net.http. Okay, the next part of the code, we want to add a constructor for this class, constructor public. Copy and paste the class name. And it's curly brackets. Let's close our constructor. Okay, so let's add a variable, my server equals to new. test server. So this is out of the box when you use test hosting, and the only way I found the best way to test your web API. Web host builder dot use environment, and our environment at the moment is development, and then dot use startup, and startup again inside the brackets and close that. And the next is we want to instantiate the client. So client equals to my server dot create client. So we create a new client instance to that server, and that will happen every time you start the test. So we want to change this fact to theory, and the reason for using theory is we want to pass parameters so we can have inputs into this inline data. It needs to be in the config and curly brackets. So we want to just pass a value, and our value, get value, will be, in this instance, just will be 1. So we'll pass a value to that web API, and this is how you pass values into your methods. So we're going to change this. This is going to be a asynchronous call, async, and a task. And that's the only way you can actually call your web APIs. There might be other ways, but this I found the best way to do it. And we just test get numbers. Yeah, I need to conform to a better standard here. Let's call it test with uppercase. Okay, and we want to pass a string. And that's the method name that we're going to pass through to this, and the int is the ID we are sending through, and expect it to be null. Okay, now let's add some code here. We're going to add a request, so variable my request. So we're going to create a request, a new HTTP message request message, sorry, and a new HTTP method. So we're passing a method inside this test, and that method is that API controller. So $, in inverted commas there, API and / values, and that's your value controller. It's just, you can see inside your unit test, just add values there, and so this is the way you would call it from a normal test. We want to pass that ID into that values, and then close that. Where's my mistake? Oops, too many. Okay, and then variable my response, sorry. We are await, because it's asynchronous call. It's a client, the HTTP client dot send. So we're going to send through the client async call. and we're going to pass through the request. Okay, and next, my response. So we're going to now just get a status code from that response to make sure that the request has gone through correctly, and then we'll add an insert that is actually doing the test. So dot equal, and in brackets we first want to test the HTTP status code, and it should be okay. That's the status code that will be responded back from the response. And just on the light bulb, we needed to add system.net as well. And that needs to be, that OK status code needs to be same as the status code returned from the response. Okay, and the last little change is on task there, it's the light bulb. We need to add the threading tasks using. Okay. Now go to your terminal down there, and we want to just go to our test project. The best way to do this is to make sure your test project builds successfully. Go into the test project and .NET build. This is just to ensure that our test is building. So this will build also the reference project, which is our Web API project. Okay, so before we run the test, I have this icon here, test. This is .NET Test Explorer, and to add this, just go to extensions, search for .NET Test Explorer, and install that first. This works quite nicely with running tests from inside your Visual Studio Code. You can either run a test here or click on this icon and just click on that refresh just to get all your tests, and that refresh will bring the test back, and then you can start your test from there. Open it up and just click on the top level will run all your tests. And you can see our test ran successfully. Tick mark there. So I think let's do a negative test. Let's make a mistake inside this method call and run it again. And then just to ensure that the test does actually fail when it needs to fail. So it will give you a negative test. And there you see it failed the test. So this only tests the methods itself, not. So I'm going to copy and paste this and create a new method where I want to test the value that is returned. So we know that if we put in 1 or we put in 2, it will return a value 2. Let's just make those changes. So we don't need that. And we're going to just return a string. Return value equals. And this is remember it's an asynchronous call, so it's my response dot content dot just read the string async. So this will read a string that comes back from the API call. And we know that value is 2, so let's go change that to delete that and just 2, and then we test that against the return value coming back, and then let's run our test again. Make sure it's saved, refresh. And open our test, and we have a new test now, and we can just run that test, and that will also return a valid test. We have a successful test. And just for negative testing, let's make a mistake. Just add to another O. And we know if we run this now, so I'm just running it now differently. I just click on that run test, and you'll see you've got a failure there. So that's a failed test. Let's go fix it again. Let's run it again. And this should pass the test and give you a successful test. Passed. So before we jump to the portal, I just want to show you I've added the git init initialized, and I added all the code, and then I committed the code to local git. And then you have to change. It will pop up a file where you need to just take all the files that you want to add, push through. You want to make those changes inside that insertions. And then what I did is I then added to my remote onto my project. I created a new project on DevOps portal, and we'll go there right now. So inside our DevOps portal, these are all the files that we committed to this repository. Go to pipelines, and we're going to create a new pipeline. Create pipeline, I use the classic editor. So click on classic editor, then go to your, make sure that you selected your Azure. There's a few others you can use as well. Just continue, and let's search for .NET Core. Just .NET Core. This is what we want to build and test, and click apply. This is we use 18.04 agent. It doesn't actually matter what agent you use. So restore will restore the code, build will build the code, test will actually look for the test project that we created, so that will automatically look for a test and run those tests and publish the output. And so let's save this. And let's run our test. Go back to pipelines, inside the test, run pipeline, and click run. And I'll open up the agent job, and that will run through the test. And I'm going to speed up this video until show you the testing. Okay, so successfully ran, and let me show you the test, and 2 has passed inside the test. Go back to Visual Studio Code. So go to your values controller, and we'll make an error here. So this is where developers will probably make an error. So your test can pick up any errors that is checked into your code. So let's just make an error there, and this unit test will then pick up that there's an error if we check in the code. Let's check in our code. So let's check in code. Click the check-in button, commit, and then this button to push the code. So that will push it to the. We have to pull it first before we push it. If you get an error like that. Go back to the DevOps portal and open your pipelines. We want to open this pipeline. We want to edit the pipeline now so we can automate the trigger. I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that. Just go click edit on your pipeline. And on the top there, you see there is triggers. Go click on triggers, and you want to ensure a continuous integration testing. So create that, and that will check the branch. So anything that's checked into the branch, and click save. If you check anything into the branch, it will kick off automatically. So let me just go back to the code and make a little change, and then we'll see that it will run automatically. Go back to the code. Let's just add a little change here so we can check it in again. Just code value changed, commit, Okay, and commit. And then let's push that then to the cloud. And back into the portal and just refresh, and you'll see that automatically that test has kicked off. And I'm going to pause this until the test. Let's go into the agent, and I pause this until the test failed. So this test should fail. Okay, and the test has failed as expected, and you can see the reasons there why the test has failed. And let's go fix that error. I'll do this very quickly. I'll speed up the video so we don't waste too much time. And there you have it. We have a successful test. We're going to go check it and see, oh, the test has been successfully passed. And that's testing.